useful to have somebody in the crowd that has a good whistle. So thank you for that. Well, how's business week going? Enjoying yourselves? Let's give our staff and Dr. Rosen and everybody that made this happen a big round of applause. I want to remind you that there is dinner on the lawn, really the back parking lot, immediately following this session. So lunch on the asphalt is happening right after this, but it's a pretty good lunch. Who went to lunch yesterday? Okay, so some hands, pretty good lunch, pretty good, okay. All right, so enjoy yourselves at the end of this. And now Oscar, there you are. And I believe you were gonna round up a contingent of MSA students that were gonna, escort Mr. Coley out to eat lunch at the end of this. So MSA students, I'm looking at some of you right now. You are part of that, okay? So make sure that, you have this opportunity to sit with Malcomb Coley at lunch, and I hope you take advantage of that. Oscar is the leader, so don't let us all down, Oscar, okay? All right, so my goal here is to really introduce our speaker for this morning, second keynote, Malcomb Coley. And I'm not going to do the whole, you can read a lot about Malcolm if you look in the program, but he is the partner, US Central Region Private Leader and Charlotte Managing Partner. He does like a ton of stuff at EY, and he had the pleasure about a year ago of inviting me to his office and watching me walk directly into a glass wall, which probably really shocked him a little bit. So I don't actually think you saw it happen, but some of the accounting faculty members did. He saw the aftermath of it, which was pretty ugly, probably a broken nose, and we tried to recover. And he's always worried when he sees me that there's a pending lawsuit, but that's not gonna happen. And anyhow, I really appreciate, he's been a really, really big partner for our programs here. He's an alum of the Cameron School. He is instrumental in hiring a number of our students. He has given back financially, and not only has he given back financially, but he has really kind of sicked us on some other unsuspecting folks to actually ask them to give back. So he has really, really helped our program a lot. Now, a little bit about him. He is a client-serving partner with more than 31 years of experience with EY. In addition to his leadership roles, he serves as the US Central Presiding Partner. As such, he's a member of EY's leadership team and sits on the firm's Global Governance Council, the Americas Advisory Council, and the US Partner Principal Council. He is on a host of boards all over, particularly in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. And he began his career in the EY's Raleigh office. In Atlanta, he was a senior assurance partner where he served in a variety of both public and private clients in retail and consumer products, mining and minerals, venture capital, and insurance. He and his wife, Tammy, have 4 children. So he hasn't been so submerged in career that he hasn't been a family person. Has 4 kids, and in his spare time, he enjoys running, exercise, and golf. Are you better than Dr. Motz when you play golf with him? Absolutely. Okay, so anyhow, welcome to Malcomb Coley.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Well, first of all, thanks, Dane. I do have this release that I need you to sign. Am I too close to that? Yeah, I do have this release I need for you to sign, and I look forward to joining a bunch of the students this afternoon for lunch. Again, is there an echo? Or is it me? Is there an echo in the back? Okay. Okay. All right. Now I look forward to it, and then Dean, thanks for the introduction. Again, I've had the fortunate opportunity. I'm in my 33rd year with EY, and this is my 40th anniversary when I first stepped on this campus. And none of you students were born, and I don't think any of the faculty that were here when I got here 40 years ago are still here. And so whatever stories I tell you, no one can dispute them because no one was here. But it all started here at UNCW. I did my undergrad here, as the dean mentioned, and then I did my MBA here with the Rocknesses. Came right after that and became great mentors, and to the point where I'm trying to grow a beard like my mentor here, Dr. Rockness. His is better than mine. It comes in a lot fuller. His is grayer than mine, but eventually I'll get there. So I left the university and joined EY again some 33 years ago, and just wanted to talk about the evolution of professional services firm over the 33 years that I've been involved and where I think the profession is going. When I joined the firm, we had 8 offices in the Carolinas, North and South, we would call the Carolinas. And within the whole entire 8 offices, there was 1 African-American, which was me. And then the other firms at the time didn't have any as well. So I was the only African-American in Big 4. But just to show you the transformation of the firm, all of the firms over the years and how inclusive that they have become from both an ethnicity and a gender perspective. I would tell you and probably for the better, most of the firm's leadership are women. And I would probably tell you that that's probably better for the profession. They tend to do a better job than we men do. And so, but it's been really great to see the transformation of the profession. When I came into the profession, we did 2 things. We did audit and tax. That was it. And now you look at the transformation of the profession some 33 years ago. First, you can see about what I have on. This is probably my daily attire that I wear now. When I started, you had a white shirt, not a blue shirt, not a polka dot shirt, but a white shirt, tie, coat all the time. But just the transformation of how I can now be cool with all the cool kids and dress like this. And with my Air Jordans, probably have 5 pairs of Air Jordans to go with the different wardrobes that I wear. And this is how I dress when I go sit down with, a lot of CEOs. I was telling Dean Rockness, both Rocknesses, that I had dinner last night with Brian Moynihan, CEO, chairman of Bank of America. And I had my Air Jordans on with him. And we went a little bit late last night, and after a couple of bottles of wine, I didn't think you guys wanted me to drive. So I ended up booking a flight late last night. And I didn't get here until quarter to 11. So I was cutting it close, but really glad to be here. So just the complete transformation of the profession from now not only just an audit and tax practice, but the multitude of different services that we all offer, and the multitude in different majors that we hire. We are probably less than 50% of our hires are accounting majors. So they give hopes to a lot of other individuals: marketing, finance, engineering, business, MBAs, doctors, lawyers. If we were a law firm, we would be the largest law firm in the world. We have more lawyers than any law firm in the world. And just to give you a context of the transformation of the profession and of the firm. And so you asked the question, what did lawyers do? What do doctors do in our firm? I recently hired, it happened to sit in Charlotte, our chief medical officer for the firm. I mean, if you think about, everything that's going on in the world of medicine and the impact from a consulting perspective that we can make in that profession. And so we have the America's chief medical officer that sits in Charlotte, and he drives all of our services to healthcare industries throughout the country. And I know this for a fact. We have because we were pitching the other day to a healthcare organization. We have over 6,000 healthcare professionals in the firm, nurses, doctors, MPHAs, and et cetera. Again, showing you the complete transformation, of the profession. And again, for the CPAs in here and the tax professionals, that will always continue to be our core. Auditing and tax will continue to be our core. But to put it in perspective, currently, auditing is 25% of what we do now, and tax is 25% of what we do. The other 50% is other things that we do, M&A, law. And for the lawyers in here, we're not a law firm, so don't go and turn us into the Bar Association. But we do practice a lot of law outside of the US through our Canadian operations and some other operations. And then we're doing M&A, mergers and acquisitions. We've done practice 3 largest M&A deals in the US history. The Dow DuPont, we helped integrate that particular merger as well as others. And then from a strategy standpoint, we are really deep into strategy. We established our arm called EY Parthenon, which is our strategy group. And we compete against the best of the best, Bain's, Boston Consulting Group, you name it. We compete against them, McKinsey, every single day. And we're winning, every single day. And so as you can see, just the complete transformation of when I started the profession from just an audit and tax practice to now we're audit and tax is less than 50% of what we do. We just closed out last fiscal year, we closed out at $45 billion. And then this year, we expect to be north of $50 billion in revenue. And again, that is human capital. That's hours times rate. We don't produce any widgets or anything of that nature. We just take bright people, like a lot of students in this room, and we put them on complex problems with our clients to help them solve these complex problems. And they pay us by the hour, a certain rate, and that is going to be over $50 billion for this year. Many of you may have heard about EY contemplating a transaction where we are looking at spinning off our non-audit services into a IPO, a publicly traded company. We try to keep it secret, but for whatever reason, we have not been able to keep it secret like most IPOs. And it's probably been the most depressing thing that I've seen because, our clients entrust us with the most highly integrity, confidentiality of their information, and then we can't even keep ours confidential. It's every day there's an article in the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, and whatever reason. And I've been in all these secret meetings for over a year. Within 24 hours, they have a complete transcript of our secret meeting. So evidently, there's individuals that's leaking this stuff, which is probably one of the most embarrassing things that I've encountered. And we've tried everything using our forensics to figure out who it is. And we have not been able, but I guarantee when we find out who it is, you would know. Because we're gonna have a good time with that person. So we're looking at doing something that this profession has never seen, and really spinning off the non-audit related services into an IPO and around the globe. You may look back and say, well, Accenture did it out of Anderson Worldwide, totally different transaction than what we're looking at doing. And not only what would differentiate us in the transaction, this is not a trade sale. This is a complete IPO. It will be one of the top 3 largest IPOs of all time. Definitely by far the most complicated IPO of all time. And we went into this thing thinking that we can execute it and consummate this deal. But as we got into it, we realized how complicated it is. EY, we're in 150 countries. Not all of the countries are going to be invited to participate. it's going to only be about 70 to 75. So only half of the member countries in our EY Global Network will be able to participate. And there's a whole host of reasons why. Most of them, because they're really small countries, they don't really do consulting and so forth. That's probably one of the larger reasons. And then there are some countries that cannot participate, like China, because any China company has to be 51% owned by Chinese, and that's not going to happen. So they're not going to participate. Israel is not going to participate. And the reason they're not going to participate is because EY Israel just dominates that market. They do 80% of all the work in Israel. And so it makes no sense for them to join. They're continuing to be a standalone entity. We'll probably have some affiliation with them, but they're not going to join. So we have these 70, 75 countries out of the 150 that's going to come and join this new transaction. And then we have 13,000 partners that would be voting on this. And so, when you have 13,000 cooks in the kitchen, everybody has a point of view. And so that's what's also making this transaction extremely, extremely, extremely complicated. And then we have the regulators around the globe. We have 70 different regulators we're dealing with that's going to weigh in on this transaction. I can't tell you what the value of the transaction is, but you can go and look at the largest IPOs in world history, and you can figure out if this is one of the top three. We are under all types of SEC requirements, what we can and cannot say, but it's going to be a very large transaction, very complicated transaction. And again, we're going to do things that no other professional services firm has ever done before. Yes, you have a firm that may be out there doing managed services and tech consulting. We'll do both of those. But the key element that's really going to separate us from the other folks that are out there is that we would do M&A, mergers and acquisitions. And there are other firms that are publicly traded that don't do M&A. But the distinguishing, and which is the most difficult piece in us splitting up the legacy firm, is tax. Tax is a critical part of both companies going forward. And that is the most complicated piece. But that is the most important piece to the NewCo, is to be able to provide tax expertise and tax advice. And so, because every major transaction, there's always a tax element to it. And being able to provide tax services in a transaction around the globe is extremely, extremely important. And so I'm not telling you anything that's not new. Just read the Wall Street Journal or the Financial Times. That is the sticking point of this transaction. How do you divide up tax? That is the big thing. And so, we have all the financial advisors in the world, but the two leads, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. Again, just to tell you the size of this deal, neither one of them could do it on their own. So we had to pick two investment advisors to help advise us on this deal. And so when you step back and you ask, the question, you think about what we will be able to do if we are able to consummate this deal, which I think we are. I'm highly confident that the deal will consummate. Still gonna be some challenges, but when you think about transactions and businesses, when you can have a one-stop shop of being able to do a deal, do the M&A piece, do the strategy piece, do the consulting piece, do the tax piece, do the law piece. Now, again, the law piece would be done out of Canada for now, and some of our other jurisdictions where they can practice law in the profession. It'll be a full one-stop shop. And again, you have some organizations out there now, they can do tech consulting and they can do managed services. They can't go and do an M&A. And when you think about when you think about some of these big deals, M&A deals, you're talking $300-400 million in fees. That's how big they are. And when you can have a one-stop shop firm that can do all of that from start to finish, that really differentiates us from, some of the other organizations that are out there. But when you also have to step back and ask, okay, why are you guys going to do this deal? The firm is doing great. You're growing, double digits. You're $50 billion. You're a cash cow. I mean, that's 50 billion in cash. We don't have, inventory that's sitting on our balance sheet. Our receivables are collected, in 60 to 75 days. So you get $50 billion within 75 days is in your bank. Why are you doing this? So there's a couple of strategic reasons why we have to. For those of you who are keeping up with what's going on in the EU and the regulatory bodies there, and pushing for the firms to separate. So that's one thing. The EU is telling the firm, you have to separate your audit from your consulting business. And so it's very difficult to have a global firm where parts of the world you're separated. It's just hard to do. Second, we need capital. We need capital in order to continue the growth trajectory that we've had. And I would tell you, Accenture has been very successful. You think about, they were a $10 billion organization in 2000. And you look at them now, they're a $60 billion organization. They've grown 6-fold. We've grown 2.5. So their model shows you that it works. And our model shows us that we believe we can build a much, much better mousetrap because of the other different ancillary services that we will, be able to bring in providing professional services to companies. And so when you look at the regulatory reasons why we need to do it, the need to raise capital, because right now, the only way we raise capital now is that the partners have to divvy up. The partners would have to divvy up. We would have to increase capital accounts. And you can only raise, but so much. We need billions of dollars in capital in order to continue the trajectory of the growth that we have. And then just the regulatory piece. Every time we do a transaction, we go out we do an internal transaction where we go out and buy someone. Day one, we lose 30% of the revenues because of independence and regulatory. So we have to haircut every transaction on average that we buy by 30%. The SEC, PCOB, and the other regulatory bodies, we're providing prohibited services that we have to. Under the new model, there's no haircut. There's none. Under the new model. Under the new model for NewCo, there's no haircut. Second, speed the market. Currently, when we go out and look at a transaction and to provide services to a potential client or a current client, it could take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month to get all the necessary approvals. Because of regulatory up and under rules, private equity. I mean, you just go through all the complicated reasons why it takes so long to get in a transaction. I've been involved where we had transactions, we spent a month going through all of the checkbox and only 30 days later to realize that we're not independent because we are doing $5,000 of write-up services in Hong Kong. And we have to turn it down. It could be materiality doesn't come into play. And we didn't have enough time to get clean. So we would have to, and it could be $100 million opportunity, but we're doing $5,000 of bookkeeping services in some small country around the world that we didn't even know what we were doing. All of that goes away. It doesn't matter anymore for the work that we do. And to determine whether we can do it or not shouldn't take longer than 2 hours going forward. I mean, that's how transformative it's going to be. And so, our competitor is going to have to make a decision on what they're going to do. Because when we can make a decision in 2 hours, when it normally could take 2 weeks or 2 months or a month, what do you think most clients gonna? They're not gonna, you know, because that's one of the biggest issues we have. And the clients be pushing us like, we need for you guys to get started. We're like, well, we can't. You know, we got to go through all these checks and balances and make sure there's no regulatory issues, no independence issues all around the globe, especially if they're a multi-global organization. We have to go and check. I mean, it takes a lot of time. And so our speed to market is going to be unsurpassed by no one. You know, the only thing we have to do is call and figure out who's on the other side of the transaction. And if we are on the other side of the transaction, we can ask for, are they okay with that? In most cases, they are. We can get that done in 2 hours. If we're not on the other side of the transaction, 30 minutes, we can tell the client we're ready to roll. And so it's going to be completely transformative, you know, to the profession. But it's going to be, it was extremely complicated because there's a partnership. We're all partners, and the value of the partnership is divided by the partners. And so in order to do this, you have to settle up the partnership. And one of the things the Big Four is known for is our pension. We have the best pension plan in the world. I mean, most companies would die for our pension plan. But some of the firms didn't freeze their pension plan. And if you look at the growth over the last 5 to 10 years, that unfunded liability has grown drastically. And that was almost the initial deal breaker for us, that unfunded, because you have to now fund that liability in order to consummate the deal. That's the biggest thing on the balance sheet that has to be settled up. For us, it was many billions of dollars that we have to settle up. And when we went out to the marketplace and met in many meetings with Morgan and Goldman, they pretty much told us what the maximum float that a transaction can handle. And we were right there at the borderline with our unfunded obligations to consummate the deal. But at the end of the day, we met that threshold. But we capped our pension plan in 2006. Our competitors didn't. And you think about what happened between 2006 to now, as far as how you calculate the pension obligation, and this and that. And then we froze our pension plan in 2016. So our liability was capped in 2016. And I hate to say this, but every year a retired partner passes away, the liability goes down. And so it never goes up because nobody else goes into the plan. So it always goes down. Where everybody else, their plan is still active and live, and it's going up. And from what we heard is that their plan is, their obligation is 3 times our obligation. And when we realized, given the size of our unfunded obligation, we barely made it happen. You know, I usually don't talk about my competitors, but there was a pretty nasty video that one of our CEOs, one of our competitors did that was very distasteful. But when we get this deal consummate, we'll see who stands at the end of the day. Because, you know, again, this deal is going to completely transform the industry. And I say that about, about one of my competitors, and you can go online, you can see it and research it for yourself. We're trying to transform the industry. And, we think it'll transform the industry if we could pull it off for the best. And again, we've had some speed bumps, and that person took advantage of these speed bumps, which again was distasteful. And I was, as a matter of fact, I had a few partners from that firm call me and say how disgusting that they were that their chairman did what he did. And I would tell you when another competing firm had some serious issues and there was some question about their ability to survive, our chairman pulled all of us together and said, stand down. Don't go after any of their people. Don't go after any of their clients. As a matter of fact, talk about the importance it is to have 4 big 4 firms in the marketplace. And so, again, that's our values and belief statements, from our chair. So the execution of this transaction is going to result in extremely robust hiring by the firm. We're going to have to hire a lot of people. And so people always ask, why is it good? Well, it's good for our people because promotions, hiring is going to be rapid. We're going to have to hire a lot of people because the addressable market, what we're able to do is going to, based on the research we had done by our advisors, we're going to have robust growth and we're going to need a lot of people. So for those that are in school, it's going to be great for you guys, that there are going to be great opportunities. Our people now get a chance to participate in a public company. They will be getting, equity. Everybody will get equity in this deal that are currently employed. And so in the form of, stock units, we're not giving an option, we're going to do units. And so everybody benefits from it. It's a great transaction. It's transformative. It's going to change the profession as we know it today. We're going to create something pretty unique, pretty special, in which we'll be able to serve clients. When you look at all the key pillars, from strategy to consulting to advisory to audit, well, not audit, to tax to M&A, we'll be able to do it all in law. Again, not in the US. I see some of you lawyers looking at me. We're not practicing law in the US, but legal services will be provided in some of our foreign jurisdictions, like Canada and a few other places. So let me stop there and open it up for questions. Hopefully there's no tough questions. But let me open it up for questions about the profession. The legacy company, the audit practice, and first of all, they will maintain the legacy EY because of a lot of reasons why. We got opinions out there and so forth. So they will maintain the EY name. NewCo, we have a work stream that's working on that right now. And from what I hear, it's going to be 2 or 3 words they making a one. Like Forbes, was it Forward and Vision, which was great. I love that. Yeah, Dixon Hughes, and they acquired or merged with a company, and they changed their name to Forbes. They took Forward and I think Vision and Forbes. So when I'm here, we're going to take 2 or 3 words and they're going to make up a name. Like my kids make up names for me all the time. Yeah.
Hi. Hello there. My name is Jordan Oldham. I'm a junior marketing strategy major. And I just had a question for, as someone who's going to be going into the business field. For you, you talked a very little bit about being like the first and only at the beginning of your career. Can you talk a little bit about how, or your thoughts on how young business professionals of color can bring their whole authentic selves at work, and just the benefits of that you see in your industry and in business in general?
Great question. No, that's a really good question. I've been part of hiring thousands of people. I run the U.S. Central region, which goes from Minnesota to Pittsburgh, down to Florida, the 22 states. And I go around, I talk to a lot of people. And I've been pretty consistent with this, in that you never compromise who you are. You bring your authentic self to work. And I always say that, and I tell people this all the time, you know, when you look at your priorities and you prioritize who you are, family first, you, your authentic self, your religion, the country, all of those things come first. Those things should never, ever be compromised. And I always say that EY should be fifth or sixth on your list. And I tell people all the time, if EY is in the top 3 or 4, this is not the right place for you. It is not the right place for you. And I have zero tolerance for folks that can't live according to our beliefs and values. And whether it's, you know, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, I have zero tolerance. I've terminated some of the most senior people in the firm because they were just disrespectful certain things. And so, but I would challenge you guys, never compromise who you are and bring your authentic self to work. Things have changed. As I mentioned, when I first started 33 years ago, you had to wear, I mean, if I would have came close to the building dressed like this, I was fired. I mean, you had a white shirt and you had a coat on all the time, suit, and so forth. Things have changed. I think, you know, the importance of understanding the importance of women in the profession. You know, we used to do some dumb things. It was up and out. I mean, that's some of the dumbest things that we've done. We lost some great individuals, mainly women, because they wanted a different lifestyle, but they wanted to stay in the profession. And we were having a approach back then. You work 60, 70 hours a week. And when you're a young family with kids, and not, it should just be the wife, the husband the father has the same responsibility, but too often it fell on the wife, and it couldn't make it work. Now we have such a flexible environment that, and it was the smart thing to do, it was the right thing to do, to ensure that we create careers that's in alignment with personal values of our people. And so if you look at most of our leaders are women, and when I started, it was very, very few. And likewise with you know, ethnic minorities and the promotion. I mean, myself as a classical example, I sit on our Global Governance Council. We're having a call right now that I missed, talking about this transaction and looking at the overall governance. And I keep reminding our chair that even though he's the chair, I sit on the Global Governance Council, I can fire him. As well as here in the Americas, I sit on the Americas Advisory Council, where we oversee all the governance of the firm. And then likewise in the US. So I sit on the most 3 important governing bodies of the firm. And here in the US, I'm the presiding partner in our central region, which means I preside over all the partners in the firm and set the agenda, the tone, and so forth. So things have changed. Are they where they need to be? No. Are they heading in that direction? You know, absolutely. And, you know, again, you know, when I moved to Charlotte, you know, we had 570 people. And I know that because they did an interview of me, and we had no African Americans. I was the only one. We had a couple, you know, Asian Pacific Islanders, no Hispanics. We were about 5% female partners. And then rest were white males. And I told them, you know, and the firm, and John Spann used to be at the firm. The firm knows how I am when they asked me to move to Charlotte. And I said in front of the partnership, I said, guys, this is going to change. I said, this is going to change. This is not reflective of who we are, the firm values, our clients, and et cetera. And you fast forward, we went from 570 people in the Charlotte office to we have over 2,200 people. We've grown 4-fold. And I would tell you my best allies during that growth spurt were white males in support of others in the office, women, and so forth. And so right now, 42% of the partners in the office are women, 33% are ethnic diverse in the office. And I would tell you, we were probably, you know, 2% ethnic diverse when I got there. We were around 5% women. And again, I think we should be 50. I mean, if you look at the numbers, we should probably be 55% women and maybe 40-ish ethnic minorities. to be reflective of the values of who we are. And again, it did not take away opportunities for anyone. We grow fourfolds. We grow fourfolds in 10 years and created a slew of opportunities, number one performing office in the firm year after year across the globe. And so having a diverse group in the office around ethnicity and gender works. Our clients love it. They appreciate it. And if you look at our clients, you look at Lowe's, which is my client, you know, a Fortune 40 African-American chairman CEO. You look at Duke Energy, Fortune 100 female CEO. I mean, you look at Atrium Healthcare, number 5 nonprofit healthcare system in the country, African-American CEO. And they expect us to bring the best to the table of diverse views and thoughts to help them solve their complex problems. So be authentic, take your authentic self to work. All organizations and firms, they appreciate the diversity, clients appreciate it. And I think, you know, the worst thing that we can do is not be authentic in who we are.
Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm a senior or junior, sorry, in the business administration major, and I'm actually an incoming intern at the Charlotte office for EY this summer. Everyone I've spoken to from EY has talked a lot about family coming first and your priorities being your personal life. But I also know that people who work for EY are very career driven and accomplished people. And so I was wanting to ask you, how do you accomplish in excelling in your career and also flourishing in your personal life in an environment like EY?
First of all, everybody gotta have a mama rockness. There's plenty of time I sat on her deck when I was going through some tough times. No, great question, and welcome to EY Charlotte. It's the best office in the firm.
Now, while you're answering the question, talk about why you stayed at EY the whole time. Because in today's world, people keep jumping from job to job.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so, you know, I think it's just in alignment with who we are, our beliefs and our values. And yeah, they're career driven, but they keep their priorities in line. And, you know, we went to an honor system around vacation. We don't have any limit on vacation anymore. It's an honor system because we want our folks to spend time doing things that really matters to them. EY, we'll get the work done. I'm not worried. I want you to do what really matters. That's you, it's your family, what really excites you, the community. You know, I encourage and everybody to get involved in the community and not just during the weekends and in the evenings, but during the day, you know, during the day. And so I think it's around, you know, just keeping your priorities in line and just being honest with you and your teammates. If you need time off, then take the time off, knowing that there's gonna be a time when your teammate, you're gonna need to take some time off and so forth. You know, I stayed at, you know, EY. I only looked at leaving a couple of times. Is that right? It's not more than a couple of times, right? And there was great, what I thought was great opportunity. But I would say I've lived the American dream. You know, growing up in Eastern North Carolina, originally in a single parent home where most people really didn't get out of that community. You know, the firm has afforded me opportunities to see the world. You know, I've served global clients. I've been throughout Asia. I've been throughout the Middle East. I've been throughout Europe. I've been throughout Africa. And it gave me an opportunity to grow and develop by seeing the world. And then just the opportunities, you know, I learn something every single day. The firm gives me an opportunity to learn something every single day. They presented me with unbelievable opportunities. Not that I say yes to all of them. It has to be right for not only the firm, but more importantly, or equally important, it has to be right for you. And so it's okay to say no. I wouldn't say it all the time, but it's okay to say no. And the reason they're asking you, because they believe that you're the right person at the right time for a great opportunity. But sometimes there are things that may be going on in your life or the opportunity may not be right for you. So it's okay to say no. But at the end of the day, just afforded the number of opportunities to do a lot of different things, drive my career, see a lot of places in the world. and, you know, work with a lot of people, develop a lot of people, help them develop their careers. And then, you know, being able to sit in the room and influence, you know, the vision of the firm, who we are, our values, and so forth, which really excites me. And the good thing about this new transaction right now, I'm scheduled, we have mandatory retirement at 60. I know most of you don't believe it, but I'm only a couple of years away from that. But this new opportunity, this new deal would allow me to stay as long as I want. And I can join boards. Like right now, I can't join a public company board. It's prohibited by the SEC and the PCLB. Under the new deal, I can join a board. And that's one of the things that my experiences have allowed me to be considered. I've had numerous Fortune 100 boards ask me in the firm, can I join? Obviously the answer is no, but they have me on their short list. Day one, I can go join a Fortune 100 board, and which would be great because then I can help use all the experiences that I've gained in my 30 plus years with EY to help inform their vision and so forth. So hopefully that answered, I know it was a long-winded answer, but hopefully it answered your question. Yes. Hey. We should have had you in that room with us. Great question. I mean, no one's doing an IPO right now. I mean, that's no big secret. I mean, you're not seeing any IPO. When we first built out the model, there was a lot of conservatism built in the model, growth rate, profitability, and then, you know, one of the things we can't control is the market. And that is going to be one of the most difficult things that we're going to have to maneuver. We can push it back a quarter or two. If you think about recessions, they only last a quarter or two. But I would tell you that the American economy is resilient. You know, I mean, this is going to be a man-made recession. During my career, we've never had a man-made recession. The federal government is trying to land this plane. The Fed is trying to land this plane with no pilot. And they're going to create this recession. But the American people and the American economy is saying, wait a minute. I mean, it's resilient. Employment numbers keep going straight through the roof. Wage is going straight through the roof. And they're going to have to keep raising rates to try to slow the economy down. It's going to be interesting to see how soft they can land this plane. But we can push back the IPO. I mean, people shelve IPOs all the time and wait till the economy and the environment is right. And so we've talked about it. We believe we have to maybe a quarter or so. We were originally planning on hopefully going effective in the fourth quarter of this year. And if we have to move it to Q1 of 2024. But we did take that in consideration, you know, the state of the economy and so forth. But, you know, employment numbers keep outpacing what the economists are suggesting. Wage growth is still high. Saving rates are coming down a little bit. And they keep raising rates. And we saw what happened. I mean, it's a delicate balance. You saw what happened to Silicon Valley Bank and some of the others when those rates. So the Fed's got to be pretty careful on how they're going to do it. You know, they just raised 25 basis points. There was a question, would they raise them at all? And they just did, you know, 25 basis points. So, but we've taken that in consideration. If we need to shelf it, the IPO for a quarter or two, I don't think it'll be two, we can do that. But it's a great, very insightful question. Thank you.
I think we only have time for one more. So does anybody else have a final concluding question for Malcolm?
Oh man. I've as flawed as I am, I received a lot of great advice. I would probably say trust the firm. It's the best advice. I mean, I grew up in Eastern North Carolina, where I grew up around a lot of people that didn't look like me, and I would probably say I questioned everything, right, wrong, and indifferent. And one of the senior partners came to me and said, Malcolm, you are a great auditor. Clients love you. You're doing a great job, but nobody wants to work with you. Nobody wants to work with you because you question everything. Even though they may have noble and good intent, you question everything. And so that was the best advice. It was a sea change. And that's the best advice I give people now. Trust the system. My partners wake up every morning wanting you to succeed. I don't have one partner that wake up any morning wanting you to fail. You have to trust the system and be able to take the constructive feedback that they're going to give you because they want you to do better. So I forgot to mention both Shawana and Span are former EY alums, right? I recruited both of them to the firm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Is that it? Yeah. Well, thanks so much. I'll be around. If you have any questions, comments, one-on-ones, I think we have lunch. And again, really appreciate the opportunity. One of the things I will tell the students here, you are as good as they get. You're just as good no matter who they compare you with. I've hired thousands of kids or young adults from the Chapel Hills, the Wake Forests, the Georgias, the NC States, you name them. And I would tell you, you are just as good. Probably in some cases, you're better. Because here, you work harder. I think at some of those schools, they come up with a silver spoon. And I don't think they work as hard as you do. And so never let anyone question your ability to succeed. You are just as good, and like I said, in many cases, you're better than what I see from other students come from other schools.
Thank you, Malcolm. Let's give him a round of applause.
I appreciate it.
Now, Oscar, so you're going to come forward. If you want to go and sit at the table with Malcolm for lunch, this is your person right here. Just follow him. And he's absolutely right. You guys are really awesome students, and I would, pitch you against any other group of graduates, especially in the Southeast. I would be remiss, Dean Howard Rockness. Can you just stand up for a second? If you want to, his picture is out there. All the retired deans get their portrait. I'm trying to stop that tradition. But anyhow, Howard Rockness was instrumental in a lot of things around Cameron. Actually was the dean that hired me here. So anyhow, let's give him a round of applause for his time. Thanks for coming, and you're dismissed. Thank you.